Hollow Maze.
Not just the gold, but solid mineral as a whole. If you follow one of my bills in the National Assembly, the bill for the establishment of National Commission on Technology Transfer, it is a bill set out to deal with these issues. For example, he's talking about gold. As he referenced a solid mineral called, what do they call it? Lithium. Okay. Lithium that is littered across the length and breadth of Nigeria. So the bill that I proposed, the HB 591, bill for the establishment of National Commission on Technology Transfer, is coming to address that. Like I will always say, Rome was not built in a day. Many government officials in the past made mistakes, made blunders, just like my comrade here mentioned. If you look at what we inherited as a population in 1960 at independence, we were about 42 million human beings with a corresponding gross domestic product of about 45 billion US dollars. Fast forward to today, we are about celebrating 65th anniversary. The population of Nigeria has moved from that 42 million to over 200 million. And with the corresponding increment in the GDP of Nigeria from 4.2 billion US dollars to over 420 billion US dollars. The question you will ask, have we made progress? The answer is yes. But does the increment in the GDP reflective on the average population of Nigeria? The answer is no. And the question will be why. Many governments in the past, instead of the revenue we generated within the land space of Nigeria, to plow it back to build massive infrastructure that will stand the test of time, what did they do? They fritter it away to other nations, and other nations readily receive them to build their nation that we are still sending our children. When government officials travel outside the shores of Nigeria to receive medical attention outside the shores of Nigeria, who build that in that nation? When they send their children to study in these countries, who build the educational sector, and which resources? Our resources were used and are still being used to develop other nations as a result of what I would call the unpatrioticness of so many Nigerians that have found their way in government. And it is time that Nigerians hold us accountable, including Clement Jimbo seated down here. He made mention of agriculture. It was a mainstay of Nigeria's economy in the past, pre-independence, even post-independence. But the advent of oil completely removed so much attention from that sector to oil. And those people that did not even have any business in the oil sector went there, and we are still suffering the maladies today. Dangote has just rose up to break the status quo and build a functional refinery, but because of the archaic mindset that Nigeria's oil and gas industry must remain perpetually as the apron string of some people in government. That is what the man is going through, this frustration. And Nigerians needs to rise up. It pains me when I listen to commentary that people are standing up to support what Pengassan and Nupen are doing to a purely private sector driven economy. A man that has steadily thrown up petroleum products for us to consume. And somebody saying it is a must, you must do this. The question is, before Dangote refinery, sorry I'm digressing, but this is very important. Before the advent of Dangote refinery, didn't we have, or don't we have Port Harcourt refinery, Kaduna refinery, Warri refinery? Who are those managing the operations of these refineries? Are they not Nupen and Pengassan? Why have they not insisted that their members do the right thing to bring this thing up to speed? But when somebody rolls his sleeves and stamp his feet to say enough is enough, that is when all these cancerous individuals will rise up to continually put the nation aground. And it will be very unfortunate that Nigerians will allow this thing to pester.
Hollow Maze. Parliamentary advocacy and journalism redefined.